lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on.
He missed the pit complete. He's crazy
As I
stuff.
said, Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
After a pair of oval rounds, the drivers in the Pacific Majors have taken to the other extreme. Truly testing the versatility of our competitors, the FW31 will combine speed and agility to require the utmost in precision. And what better place is there to experience the highest level of European road racing than the Temple of Speed itself, Monza? Who will stand atop one of racing's most famous podiums to taste the champagne? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch the Interwest 3M Italian Grand Prix live on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak. With me in the booth tonight is Bill Soupzon. Behind the scenes is our director Giancarlo Lenzi, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Bill, with a location that has seen racing for nearly 100 years now, the Royal Park has become nearly synonymous with high speed and a high level of competition. What are our drivers up against today?
Well, I first got a taste of this track. I can remember when my mom and dad took me. I was 6 years old. They took me into the theater to see a movie called Grand Prix. And I remember watching James Garner in this Formula One car from way, I think it was a Formula 2 car they were using, and they had it on. At that time, they were using the whole circuit with the banked ovals and this full course here. Today, we're not using the bank ovals, and I'm sorry to see that. I wish somebody would have an official race and we could cover that. It'd be fun to see that. We're using the Grand Prix layout. Now, this thing is similar to what the normal, the Grand Prix layout is. I'm not too fond of this layout because it has a bunch of chicanes in it. Too many chicanes for me. Kind of whoever designed it had a sale at Chicanes R Us or something. But to get a better example of what this really is, let's go to our track guide.
All right, we've got Kevin Brown in the GSRC FW31, so let's do a lap around Monza. Coming down to the Rettifilio chicane, you'll soon see why this causes so many first lap accidents. The track gets narrow, and you're hard on the brakes. You can try to fight back and overtake, but it rarely ends happy for both parties. Straighten out the car in the exit before you really plant your right foot, and then head towards the Curva Grande. In a modern F1 car, this corner is easily flat out now. Simply let it drift out on exit to carry speed, then switch back to set up for the Della Roggia. Once again, you're heavy on the brakes, but be wary of the tall orange curbs on the insides of the apexes. Being confident on the power will be everything. Now we hit the first Lesmo. There's a lot of banking to carry you through, but the corner tightens on exit, so be careful. Then it's a short blast to the second Lesmo where it's a quick flick, and then once more flat to the floor. You've got a little bit of a chance to breathe as you head under the old oval and towards the Ascari chicane. However, watch out for an attack if you got a slow exit. This last chicane is extra tricky with it being both fast and involving three apexes. Clip the first one, then hug the right to give the best angle through the final one. Make sure and use every inch of track, and now you head towards the Parabolica. Bring the car over to the left and spot your braking point. Despite taking you a full 180 degrees, this is going to be a pretty fast entry and an even faster exit. The apex comes early, and then you need to get back to full power as soon as you feel it grip. On a racing lap, let the car drift all the way outside, but hold right if you're qualifying for the shortest run for the line. Hopefully you kept it on the black stuff and you finished a lap around Monza. That should give you an idea of the intense amount of speed, especially through the corners, that this high downforce, high-powered car is going to give these drivers throughout the day. Now, Bill, there's a lot of championships to go through, and with no cautions, we're going to have to go through a few more in the intro today. So what are all the different championship situations looking like?
Yeah, they actually have 8 of them. We're going to try to do half of them right now and then sneak in the individual driver championships during the race if we can. Let's start with the Governor's Cup. Now, the Northwest sits in first, 2 points short of 6,500. That club has 2 wins this season from a pair of Ryans, Otis and Worley. Texas holding station 4 points above 6,400. The Lone Star Club has 2 wins as well, one from each of Chris Pence and then Amjad Yaman got one. Now, if the Governor's Cup was based on winning, California would be sitting pretty. It has as many wins as the Northwest and Texas Club combined. 2 from Michael Smitty Smith, 1 from Lionel Little Train Callisto, and another from George Bring Me a Dream Sandman. But unfortunately, wins are not the deciding factor, so California is delegated to third place, some 1,500 points out of the lead. And then there's the West, with so much to offer, the Rocky Mountains, Grand Canyon National Parks. Let's move on to the Drivers' Championship now. Texans Alan Haseback and Chris Pence have been feasting on a cuisine of ovals. They sit full-bellied 1 and 2 in the standings. The best from the West is Rob Gall. He sits third, only 10 points out of the lead. Northwest Brian Barnes holds down fourth, and Smith well back into fifth. If only the Volt Vape Sportsman Championship was as varied as the products offered by its sponsor, Texas and Northwest drivers comprise the entire top 10, with Lone Star Mike Franklin leading the way, followed by Northwest Mark Redeker, and then back down south again for Sam Boren. You'll find much more variety when you visit voltvapes.com. The old-timers hang out up north as the clubs hold 8 of the top 10 positions in the Legends category. Rob Gall of the West sits in first, with Cal's Bob Beltrami sitting in 8th. Barnes, Hutchinson, Burke, Beck, Paulison, Redeker, Nichols, a Vessel and the Pestle and the Pellet with the Poisonous, I don't know. All the Northwest fill up all the top 10s, those. Then finally, in the club, well, we're going to save these club divisions till we'll do them in the race. We have to do the California Club and then the Texas Club, the whatever the rest of them as well. So, Joe, we'll throw it back to you for now.
All right. We still got just a little bit more time before warm-up is over. Then we'll get to the grid. Not a huge field compared to what we've been seeing before, with only, I believe it looks like 25 cars out there that'll be gridding up today. If only we could see actual Formula One races with that many cars. But the passing zones they're going to be looking at is pretty much just the chicane entries, with those being heavy braking zones into the Retifilia, into the Della Rogia, the Ascari, and of course the famous Parabolica offers an opportunity, although it's pretty fast, so you're going to have to be well alongside. Bill, you were talking about your dislike for the chicanes. I have to imagine that the drivers are going to share the same dislike, especially with these cars not having the downforce help them in those areas.
I'm going to try to be as optimistic in this as I'm going to go with the glass half full. I'm going to go with the self-fulfilling prophecy that everything is going to go well. But deep down, I feel that we're in for a long night with attrition playing a big factor here. You know, some of these chicanes, a lot of the drivers were saying, especially in the first chicane, they were having trouble getting the power down out of the chicane and finding the right braking point going into the chicane. A lot of time brake bias comes into factors here. When the car, as it slows down, it loses downforce, and then the brakes tend to lock up. So we'll see how this goes. I really hope things go well. And Joe, throw into all of that a standing start.
Yeah, where everybody's really going to be piling in to that first chicane. We'll see how these guys do with that. Some of them being usually oval drivers, and that's something that we should really help our viewers understand is, you know, they might be new to this series and think, well, don't these guys drive this car all the time? They should be used to the handling of it. Well, the Pacific Majors jumps around from car to car. This is the first time this season they'll be driving the Williams Formula One car. So most of these guys don't regularly drive this car and really need that experience to be any sort of competitive or just generally adept at this beastly machine.
And even when they were in a car that was similar to that, which was the Indy car that they raced earlier, at least that was on oval, so at least the oval drivers had a little bit of familiarity here. This is going to be rough, but I'll tell you right now, David Williams, who had a really hard time in our last oval race in the big stock cars, he looks really sharp here today.
All right, let's go through the grid. David Williams is going to be starting on pole. Jason Fleischle is on the outside of the front row. Ryan Otis will start in third, followed by Ryan Toma in fourth, Lionel Callisto in fifth, and Bill Jason Pitts will start in sixth position.
Next row is Bennett and Shepard. Then it's going to be Pence and Barnes in the next row back. And rounding out the sixth row is Jabinski and Sam Boren.
Then we've got Rob Gall starting 13th, Brett Trocine in 14th, Alan Hasebeck will start in 15th, followed by Wayne Hutchinson in 16th. Carl Burke will start on 17th in the grid, and then Ethan Moore rounds out the top 18.
Back of the field, Adam Hawks, Ryan Bird, Adam Young, Michael Smith, Kyle Murphy, Chris Beck, and Stephen Paulison.
That will be our grid here today of 25 F1 cars. There you see them lined up beautifully. A lot of interesting paint schemes, but the lights are up. Red lights are going to be coming up now. There they are. When they go to green, we are going racing. There it is. Everybody trying to get away. We have a car stopped at the very front. There's some contact. I think that was Fleischle, actually.
Yeah, it was Jason Fleischle.
Everybody else seems to have gotten away safely. David Williams leading them down to the first corner. Let's see how everybody does. Oh, there's some contact. That is Ryan Toma and Jason Pitts. More cars getting into each other. Everybody almost coming to a standstill. Some of them electing to cut the chicane. And now people are getting going.
Well, it was ugly, but not as bad as I feared. At least there wasn't a lot of contact.
I think it was pretty good up until Toma made contact there. And there we're seeing, trying to figure out which car that is. We're looking at that. That is Ryan Toma, actually, that ran into Jason Fleischle. Now we're coming down to the braking zone. It looks like he just didn't get slowed down in time. Got into that poor red car ahead of him. And that's where it backed up all in just to a New York traffic jam behind them.
Almost a second standing start there with all those cars in neutral.
They got another practice run. So, still up at the front, we have, actually, is that Ryan Otis that I'm seeing leading? Did we have a change for the lead? Something happened to David Williams along
Williams
the lines.
is back in third.
Yeah, and Ryan Otis is leading, and we got another change with Lionel Kalisto looking to the inside, down to the Parabolica. First lap, and already we've got 2 lead changes. Kalisto has got it.
Going back to check on Williams, he made a mistake, missed the apex, put it in the sand, and lost a couple positions.
Well, it's going to change once more. Here comes Ryan Otis in the draft of Kalisto down into the braking zone of the Rettifilio, trying to get it past, and he's got it done. But this is allowing Williams to catch up to the back of them.
The good news is, while Williams lost those positions, he didn't damage his car, and he is about a half second faster in the qualifying time. Or the practice time, setting it up.
We hope that he didn't damage the car. These are very low slung, and going over the grass can cause the car to bottom out and get some damage on the floor. So we'll have to keep an eye on Williams to see how that thing handles. Meanwhile, Otis is able to hold on down into the Della Roggia. Now they're into the Lesmos, and I don't think that it looks like Kalisto is just content to sit behind for now, knowing that it's early on in this 53-lap race. No need to try and push for the lead this early.
No, and there are at least 2 pit stops, maybe even a third pit stop we've been hearing. So we'll have to see how the pit cycle plays out for these guys.
Unlike modern Formula One, these cars are from 2009 when they still refueled, so they will be taking fuel stops as well as tire stops throughout this race. We're pretty sure everyone is going to be taking tires as the race goes on. Let's jump a little farther back to see if we can find ourselves a battle. I thought I saw that Brian Barnes and Alan Hesbeck were going to get a battle, but he just breezed on by. I'm not sure if Hesbeck was having some sort of problems out of the second Lesmo there.
Well, let's talk about a hard charger, and it's Adam Hawks, car number 50. He started in 19th position and currently moved himself all the way up to 7th. He's got about a second behind Sam Bourne, who's running in 7th. Sorry, Adam Hawks running in 8th position right now.
I wonder if he took advantage of all that chaos happening in the first chicane, maybe just worked his way around, one of those guys that cut the chicane and gave the time back, so he did it legally, I'm sure. iRacing won't allow you to get through without giving some time back, but right now, yeah, 8th position.
There is a
very
nice battle right ahead of them between Shepard and Bourne right now for 6th position.
Shepard in that wonderful Benetton scheme throwback from the 80s. Boren trying to close in. Looks like Hawks is actually closing as well. Things got quite mixed up from that start, so I think we're going to see some guys charging back through the field, most likely. A great run from Boren, closing in on the back of Shepard. Shepard goes defensive. Now he goes back to the line. Boren to the inside. He's going to have to outbrake him down into Ascari, and he does it clear.
And that gave Adam Hops a nice run up there now, looking to take over that position as well.
Little too far.
That's really your closest battle. The first 5 are running nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very politely nose to tail.
Shepard being followed closely by the black and green machine of Adam Hawks. Wasn't close enough to get it done through Parabolica. Now they're back on the main stretch. The draft is going to slowly reel him in, but once again, he's a little far back. I don't think he's going to have an opportunity down to the chicane. He looks out to the side to spot his braking point and comes to a halt now as they tackle the Retafilio.
Couple drivers that had some problems. Mark Jubinski kind of went nose to nose with Chris Beck earlier back on lap number 2. Some drivers who are out, big names, Ryan Toma and Chris Pence. Pence 1 lap down.
Looks like Ryan Toma is our only driver that's out at the moment. We're looking at Jubinski now sitting in 17th. He's trailing Carl Burke, trying to work his way up. In fact, he's only about a second and a half behind, so he's not terribly far back from the driver from the Northwest, so he could have an opportunity if he just holds on and waits for a mistake from the car in front. Closest battle on track is still Adam Hawks, only half a second back from Shepard.
Chris Pence bringing his car back on out of the pits.
Good to see him returning. Definitely not the start I'm sure he wanted, but we were talking about that attrition, Bill. I'm sure if Pence just stays out there, he could see it come back to him. And we heard drivers talking that a top 20 finishing position in the pro split, which is what we're looking at now, really nets you quite a few points. So as long as he can wait out some other cars making mistakes, he's not, it's not a dead run at this point.
Whoops, it looks like, David Williams had more trouble? Is that what I was seeing there?
No, he's still in third. I'm going and checking.
Yeah,
that was just ahead of him. I think that was Lionel Callisto.
He put it in the dirt. I think he's...
I'm watching to see. No, I didn't see him go off into the dirt, but he closed quite a bit on Callisto.
I'm sorry, I was watching a replay from I was back looking, reviewing stuff. Sorry, David, you're doing just fine. I saw the incident of the Kosh did the lead twice, but he's sorry about that.
Now, we could be seeing pit strategy already coming into play. I'm not sure if this is a scheduled stop for Ethan Moore. Let's double check and see if he ran into any trouble, but he has come into the pits and is getting service. He's already back out, so this could be a regular stop.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, Chris, I talked about Chris Beck came into the pits and came out. I'm wondering, we said that they might have to do 3 stops. Maybe they're going to come in, get that 3rd stop out of the way, and then they can 2-stop it from here.
So, Chris Beck, we're watching in 23rd. Now we switch to Kyle Murphy sitting in 12th. He's trying to hunt down Smitty, the winner of last round. And boy, credit to Smitty because he's, after going from stock cars, winning 2 oval races, he's sitting in 11th now, which is not bad. Obviously probably helped some as we ride on the nose of Murphy by the early accident. But Smitty is looking at trying to crack the top 10. He's got another about 5 seconds up to Wayne Hutchinson, which still has some time to try and catch him, so it's not completely impossible.
Kind of the modern day, I guess, AJ Foyt. Maybe it looks like maybe a pass coming up here from Murphy, taking a look at it. Maybe more modern might be Tony Stewart, noted for being able to drive anything.
There we go. Hopefully he weighs a little less than Tony Stewart, especially in these F1 cars. Kyle Murphy really wheeling his orange elf camel machine around the track, gaining on the back of Smitty. He might have an opportunity into the Della Rosia. Smitty does not go defensive, outbrakes him into the chicane. Can he get it done? Oh, and he spins it, throws it away.
So we were talking about that. That looked like front tire lockup to me. The brake bias where the car gets light, and he just turned around on him.
It's one thing to catch a driver, it's another thing to execute that pass, as they like to say. So Smitty lives for another day. However, it's not done yet, because all of that trying to avoid that spinning car has allowed Brian Barnes to close within half a second. Down into the Ascari chicane. Barnes getting dangerously close now. 3/10 behind. Even though Smitty survived one, he might be losing it once again and slipping back to that 12th position anyways. Barnes not close enough this time around. Backs out of it by the time they hit the Parabolica, just off the apex, but can he get a good run out? He does. This is going to be an easy opportunity, drafting down the front stretch.
Nice run, good position.
All the way to the inside. He's going to have to outbrake him, though. Smitty's trying to hold on to it. He comes back under braking. We said that it's going to be tough to go side by side, but Smitty can't hold on to it, and Barnes moves himself into 11th.
That's how you do it.
Nice and clean from Barnes from the Northwest Division as well. In fact, he's already pulling well clear, already put a second on Smitty.
He's got a long way to go to get to Ryan Bird, though, in 10th place. Bird's got about a 5-second lead on him.
Speaking of which, Bird is about only a second behind Wayne Hutchinson as well. Excuse me, Hutchison. There you see Hutchison and that Lotus scheme.
Oh, is that pretty or what?
Although I know plenty of purists who say that the red total accents on that car is ugly, but I think it adds nice little touches. Meanwhile, Ryan Bird and the yellow and maroon Formula One car just trying to hunt him down. In fact, it's looking fairly close ahead of them, with Hawks trying to chase down Shepard still. Hasn't given up on him.
Yeah, Shepard running in 7th position. And then it's not that he's got a lap car in front of him here of Chris Beck. We talked about Beck coming in for a pit stop. Beck has dropped now. He came out on the lead lap, but then he dropped it to the leaders. This could be interesting here as Hawks starts to gain on the back marker.
I saw him lose ground a few laps ago. He must have made a mistake and now obviously has the speed as he's caught right up, just about 4/10 behind. And you can see how difficult it is to follow. At 4/10, he was less than a car length through that chicane, so he's going to have to really get right on top of Shepard to try and execute a pass. Now as they come down to brake, you can see him closing once again here for the Della Rosia chicane. This time though, he gets a great exit, but it's only a short blast to the first Lesmo. No opportunity for a pass through this banked corner, and he starts to drop back once again.
That's a battle for 7th and 8th.
We ride on board with Shepard, looking backwards. Looking through the rear wing. Once again, not able to close. There's Chris Beck. Is he going to hold him up? Is he going to pull over? He holds to the right. Looks like he is going to let Shepard through. Is he going to let both of them through? Hawks is away back.
Yeah, he got
there
there.
He goes.
Look at Chris Beck. Good job, Chris.
Nicely done.
He was able to let Hutchinson through as well.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Hutchinson is starting to get into this fight. He is only half a second back from Hawks, who's now slipped about a second back from Shepard. So going from the hunter to the hunted, here comes Hutchison, but not close enough by the time they hit the braking zone.
Stay on that battle, but let me update what's going on up front. Otis has opened up about a 2.3 second lead on Callisto. But not far behind him is David Williams, able to hold on to 3rd position. So not much going on up front. Yep.
Spare a thought for Williams, who started on pole. Looks like he has the pace, but cannot find a way past Callisto at this point, even at this track, which isn't known for having as many issues with riding in the spoiled air of the car in front. Just can't seem to get by him.
Yeah, and I hate to bring this up, but viewers who watched the last race at Darlington, David Williams had a mistake on the actual pace lap. He thought they were single file. It was a double file restart. He ran the guy into the wall that was next to him. Only no restarts today, David. You've got through the one standing start, so you're home free.
So let's jump all the way back to 17th. Jason Fleischle trying to work his way back through. He started on the front row. Then a mistake at the start put him well back. He got into a bit of contact, I think. Now, they do have a spare car. We should mention that. And these guys who got damage early on, they were able to pop in, probably get their car repaired, or they can get it repaired once they take their first stop. Fleischle trying to hunt down Jabinski for that 16th position. And just ahead, also, we got Carl Burke, and then the lapped car of Chris Pitts was not for position. So 3 cars all fighting for position here on lap 10. Oh, and we got a car off. That's Alan Heisbeck. What happened to him? That was for position. Oh, it looks like he looped it around as Jason Fleischle gains a position as we ride on board with him. Once this is over, let's go and get a replay of Heisbeck. Just a battle going on ahead of him down into the braking of the chicane. That is Jubinski on the inside of Carl Burke. Can't quite get it done, though. Let's jump back to Heisbeck to see a replay of that incident coming into the Parabolica.
Just got a little squirrely. Then overcorrected and put it in the grass.
A lot of braking needed to be done, going from very high speeds to very low speeds. And you'll see it here now as he approaches the Parabolica. Not the typical place you expect to see the car come around.
They're going straight. You think it wouldn't be tough, but yeah, under braking.
He did a good job of not making it too bad, and especially making sure not to come right back on as those cars come streaming by as they were battling for position. So Hesbeck down to 17th, Jubinski in 16th, Fleischle 15th, and Carl Burke ahead in 14th. A lot of cars here together in a pack.
Now, full disclosure, I have actually never been in one of these cars before. In fact, Susan Flint in iRacing wouldn't even sell me this car. She actually feared for my health, that I would actually damage myself in the real world from a virtual accident. But when I told her I needed it for GSRC, she said, "Okay, but don't be racing it." So
you hear a lot of talk, Bill, as we watch Fleischle continuing to try to hunt down Carl Burke. And actually, does he have it done? He does, before even the braking zone, down into the chicane. Now Burke is going to have Jubinski all over him once again. And already you can see Fleischle streaming away. But I was going to say, Bill, you hear a lot of people complain that, oh, these cars are so advanced, they've got so much downforce, they practically drive themselves. And I would say, Bill, to anybody that claims that, buy this car in iRacing, hop in, and give it a try, and then try and tell me it drives itself.
Yeah, I turned it into a tornado once I started. I made one little adjustment, and it just was undrivable. Like, oh, never mind. You really need somebody in
you need
somebody who knows string theory to do some setups for me.
So we're watching Carl Burke, currently demoted to 15th. Fleischle has just been slicing through the back of the field. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him get back to the top 10, maybe even the top 5 before this race is over. Although I'm sure he's going to be wanting more after that horrendous start, almost Kimi Räikkönen-esque start that we saw at Monza. Whoa! And that was a car off. Was that Jubinski trying to make a pass on Carl Burke, having to take all the way to the grass? Now he manages to outbrake him down into the Parabolica. Burke gives way, and Jubinski overtakes 15th.
It's a nice job by Mark.
Where did Mark qualify, actually? He qualified in 11th, so he is also trying to make his way back up through the field. Obviously one of the cars who was set back by that early incident into turn 1. So we've got just a little bit of time. We haven't hit pit stops yet. Let's run through our top 10 for our viewers, give them an idea of where people sit. Ryan Otis is currently in the lead. Lionel Callisto has been holding down second since pretty much the start, and Williams in third. Brian Bennett is sitting in fourth, quite a ways back from these guys. Then we've got Jason Pitts rounding out the top 5. Bill?
In 6th position, running comfortably is Sam Bourne. Now he's got about a 15-second lead all the way back to Adam Hawk. Now Hawks is making that charge from 19th position. In 8th position is Alfred Shepard. Now he's closely battled, chased by Wayne Hutchinson. They're in a nice little battle for 8th. And then not too far back, rounding out the top 10 is Brian Barnes in that fluorescent blue. Did I get that color right?
Yep, you got it right. You got it right.
My goodness, that is bright.
Meanwhile, Wayne Hutchison looking on the inside of Shepard, down into the chicane, can't get it done.
Oh, let's go up to the front. It looks like Callisto's. Oh, Williams just pestering him. I've been watching Williams. He's starting to get a little bit antsy now. I think he's lost a lot of momentum actually as a failed attempt. He's going to fall back a little bit. But Williams has the legs to get around Callisto. Now, they didn't qualify they did qualify, but the qualifying isn't right before the race like so many of the iRacing's events are. They have what is called QCon. Yeah, the Q qualifying consistency is what that stands for. It's like your best 5 laps that are clean, because they want drivers to get a good setup for these cars rather than hot lap, and that's a really good idea. But Williams is really fast, and he put in a lot of practice time.
We're used to seeing that from the TNT team, and as we ride on board the TNT, Williams, he is still within half a second of Callisto, really keeping that driver in check. The Californian doing all he can to just hold steady. And we have to give a tip of the hat to Callisto for being as consistent as he has, just unflappable under the pressure of Williams behind him.
Absolutely. Now we have something interesting here. You have a lap car up ahead, and this is not really a typical backmarker. Brett Trozine was no slouch. He's running pretty good pace, and he's got Ryan Otis right behind him. And what this has allowed is these guys are closing in.
Appropriately, is it just me or does Brett Trozine have a Marussia paint scheme, actually? Oh, and almost, wow.
Oh, there he goes.
He gets
Careful,
loose.
boys.
Everybody has to check up. He caught out Ryan Otis, who almost lost it, and then Trocine spun in front of him through the Ascari chicane. Thankfully, him, Callisto, and Williams all checked up. We're going to look at the replay, and everybody managed to avoid that Marussia car ahead of them.
Wow, that could have been disastrous for those three guys. He spun out of the way, but Otis checked up so much. Oh, here's a pass. Otis is being passed for the lead. Or is David Williams making a move?
No, that's Lionel Callisto actually trying to outbreak him down into the first chicane. Callisto manages to get... Oh, and there's contact!
Williams catches him.
Ryan Otis goes over. David Williams tips him into a spin and topples him over. Does Williams have damage on that front wing? Williams getting on the radio saying he did not expect him to slow that much.
Well, they were going side by side.
Yeah, I mean, you have to expect. But look how far back he came from. I can understand that that closing rate was pretty quick, and unfortunately our replay looked away at the last moment there.
Yeah, what happened was those two cars, the leaders, Otis and Callisto, were side by side. They lost all their momentum. I got to understand it. It must have been Williams was way back, and he got there before you even could blink an eye. There you're seeing it.
Yeah, he was trying to avoid him, and unfortunately he went for the one space where there wasn't a car, and there was a car there just a moment later, and that's what caused that accident. And all this, though, that means that now Jason Pitts is sitting in third, a whole 22 seconds back, although he's got Sam Boren not too far behind, about 2 seconds back from him. But Pitts up to the podium. Now, where did he qualify? He qualified 6th, so he didn't. He wasn't that far back, but even still, he's probably thanking his lucky stars. He's already up all the way up into a podium position on lap 16, and he's not under a terrible amount of threat at the moment. So this is a nice little day for him, not wanting to put the commentator's curse on Jason.
Yeah, and if you put yourself in the head of Little Train Callisto, you got to figure. Lionel's got to say, okay, I got rid of Otis. He was upside down last time I saw him, and Williams put him upside down. So how fast can David still be? Lionel's got to be feeling pretty good about himself right now.
Lionel has won a race before, so he could become our second driver in this series to win 2, but it's still early days, so we can't write it off yet. I know F1 races have a tendency or a reputation of not really changing lead up until the end, but we've already seen that proven wrong in here. We could yet see David Williams close in. He's been losing ground. He's about 3 seconds back, but as you said, he could have damage on that car after that contact. He should still have his spare car. We'll see what happens once they hit the pit stops.
Yeah, he's already put it on the grass once, and then the little tip there. I think you would want to wait till the window opened up, come in and get us, just like that, you can get a brand new fresh car. So I don't think he wants to mess up his pit window. And Joe, we got lap traffic to get around, and these cars are a handful. No, we're a long way from being done.
And Hesbeck is putting a pass on Jabinski, looking around the outside of Curva Grande down to the Della Rosia. Let's see, and he gets it done. It looks like Jabinski actually gave up the ghost there. And he's already under threat from Rob Gall coming out of the Della Rosia chicane. 16th place driver closing in to within 3/10. So the positions you see on screen, 14th, 15th, and 16th, with Gall at the tail of the train. And
Joe, pardon me if as you're watching that, you don't need to go anywhere here. Stay on that battle. did we talk about Adam Hawks as he's moved up into 5th position now? I was replaying there.
No, we didn't mention that.
19th to 5th has really done a great job and is staying ahead of these guys that are chasing him, Shepard, Hutchinson, and Barnes. Having a great run.
So despite Jubinski looking like he lifted coming through Curva Grande, he has not dropped off the back of Hayspec. So wondering what he's up to here. He's going to have the draft down into the first chicane. Is he going to peek out, maybe take a look? Just a little bit. Might be spotting his braking zone, but definitely not a pass attempt on Hayspec. Both Texas drivers. In the meantime, just behind him, Rob Gall is caught back up after losing ground for a bit.
And I'm showing David Williams now in the lead. Did we miss a pass for the lead?
We did, apparently.
See if I can find it.
Oh, Kalisto is taking a stop.
There you go.
So lead change has happened. However, Williams has yet to take his first stop. Let's see, we're on lap 18 of 53. That sounds like a 2-stop race to me.
Yeah. Now, believe it or not, Kalisto has filed out into 4th position.
Such was the advantage of the leaders, and even with that 4th position, he has another 10 seconds on Adam Hawks. Oh, and we got a car turned around in the first chicane. Who was that?
It's Alfred Shepard.
Got on the gas a little bit too early. That lost him actually 2 positions to Hutchison and Barnes, maybe even more. Let's see. Looks like he lost, yeah, just those 2 positions. And let me tell you, Bill, in my time, because I did do some laps in this car at this track, that is one of the most difficult places to try and get away from, especially if you're trying to punch the gas in first gear. The car so easily wants to come around.
Yeah, in fact, some of the drivers were actually saying to not even put the car in first gear, keep it in second gear because you're going to lose a little bit of torque, but at least you know you're not going to spin the tires.
Save what you can through consistency. Brian Barnes not giving up the ghost, trying to hunt down 6th place Wayne Hutchison. Barnes starting in 10th, Hutchison starting in 16th. Another 2 drivers who've made their way up the grid quite nicely. Nothing doing down into the Parabolica. Now they accelerate away onto the front stretch. Barnes about half a second back, trying to reel him in as we ride on his roll bar. Let's see if that draft can pull him in close enough. I don't think he's going to have enough.
Now you can see from the in-car camera that he's way back. But watch him close up here through the chicane. You can really see the accordion effect. And then you can see Hutchinson pull away when they get on the gas.
It has to be so frustrating in those cars to feel like you're so close and these slow chicanes, and then as soon as you get to a straightaway, it looks like they're miles away.
You could just reach out there and grab onto him. You're so close and hold him back.
Just ahead of them is Adam Hawks, actually. You can just get glances of him ahead of Hutchison. So these guys could close in on the top 5, and we could have a 3-way battle for that position.
Meanwhile, ahead of these guys are Kalisto, who's already made that pit stop now. Williams hasn't come in yet. Pitts is yet to pit. Bourne is still out there.
I think... Whoa! Hutchinson is off into the Ascari chicane, hands it over to Brian Barnes. In the meantime, I was about to say that Jason Fleishley, I think, has taken his stop and is streaming back through the cars that haven't pitted yet himself.
Hutchinson brings it back out on track. He didn't hit anything.
Mercifully, these modern F1 tracks have a lot of runoff. Let's go back to Rob Gall sitting in 13th. He's trying to run down the car of Alan Hayspec. Just about a half a second in front of him. They too heading through the Ascari chicane, and a mistake from Hayspec could be an opportunity. Huge wiggle trying to recollect the car. Does a great job of recovering. Very little time lost. Down into the Parabolica. No chance for Gall to try and attempt to pass. Just behind him, he's got David Williams ready to put a lap on them. He could interrupt the battle here. Williams still yet to pit.
Yeah, Okay, he's not going to want to be too patient here. He's still got Kalisto. You can see him in his...
Ooh, he tries to get past Gall. Oh, and Gall actually, did he let him through there?
Gall gave him that, absolutely.
And that allows Mark Jabinski to close right up on him. I mean, Gall should have been lifting on the main straight, I would think, instead of trying to slow both of them through the corner.
Absolutely killed his momentum there. Now Williams has Haceback ahead of him next. Haceback running in 12th position.
Let's see how Haceback does. If he can deal with the lapping leaders a little bit better, that's going to allow him to hold on to a gap ahead of Gall. Right now it's about 1.5 seconds. As our leader Williams closes in, is he going to pull over to the side? No, he's holding to the line, but he brakes early and lets him through. That's how you get it done. Only 2/10 loss to Gall in that maneuver. I don't know if Haceback is a regular road course driver, but that to me shows some experience from the Texas driver.
I don't think he is, but what you have to keep in mind is you see Williams slicing his way through traffic. He's got Kalisto to keep an eye on. He knows Kalisto's got to get through that traffic as well, but Kalisto's already made his pit stop. So if David can get through that thing quickly, he might be able to sneak out and jump it on the pits here.
And Jabinski making a try onto Gall. That was for 13th position, but he backs out of it before they hit the chicane. Behind them, they do have Carl Burke, who's trying to come back after his mistake. Or no, excuse me, it wasn't Burke that made a mistake. I believe that was, who was that that spun off when Burke and him was fighting? Oh, and a mistake from Jabinski actually coming through the De La Roja chicane. Carl Burke looking for an opportunity to try and get by, but he doesn't have one.
You know what, Joe? If these guys were making these kind of mistakes on some of the tracks where we cover a lot of sports car racing, where the walls are much closer, they'd be in trouble. This is a very, very forgiving layout.
Indeed. Now, just spare a thought for Ryan Otis, currently sitting in 19th. Remember, he was fighting for the top 3 earlier in the race, and in fact, Otis started from 3rd on the grid. And then he's got his fresh car.
Then he sat upside down for a little while, so I think think that's going to be tough for him to make it up. He's currently a lap down.
Ryan Bennett sitting in 10th, being chased by Smitty. And Smitty actually hasn't taken his pit stop yet, I'm seeing. Remember, he was... And actually, we're hearing that Bennett just overtook Smitty. So Smitty was in the top 10 and has been slipping back. He was as high as, I think it was 6th, wasn't it, at one point? Then he made a mistake.
Yeah, now if I'm reading my timing and scoring right, which is always iffy, I'm thinking like almost a 32-second gap between Williams and Kalisto. Now, the reason I keep harping on that is that's really your battle for the lead.
And we have to wonder when Williams is going to come in for his stop. Or on lap 23, I want to say it was lap 17 or 18 that Kalisto came in. So these two opting for slightly different strategies.
Well, we've seen the Marine, David Williams, do this before. Basically run it till the wheels fall off. So he might want to be doing that now.
And that's one thing where I'm not sure, again, if he's a road guy. You have to know that pitting late doesn't always help you because you're on those old tires, you're losing time. He's going to want to have to watch for the strategy of Kalisto to really try and answer to whatever he's doing. Williams continues on for yet another lap out in the lead, still waiting for his stop.
Usually the rule of thumb is you want to try to equal stint these things so you maximize the amount of time you have with your newest rubber. No reason to come in and, well, I mean, you can change tires so quickly here. I don't see a reason why you wouldn't, so I'm not so sure. We'll see how it plays out.
Well, I'm looking back to see what our closest battle is, and right now it looks like Brian Barnes is closing in on the back of Adam Hawks for that top 5 position. Hawks started in 19th, has climbed his way up, been holding on to it keeping away the mistakes where others are faltering, but right now it is going to be under threat. Barnes not close enough down in the first chicane.
These guys have been running fairly consistent here. Hawks, of course, we've talked about that charge. Barnes getting a nice run. They do get a toe in these things, don't they, Joe?
Yeah, they definitely punch a nice big hole in the air on these long straightaways. Problem is, you got to be able to hold that close distance in the fast corners where you're losing that downforce. And you can see Barnes just ducking out of the slipstream to try and keep that downforce on the front of the car to get it to turn. Both of them look very tidy through the chicane.
Barnes is a name we see up in the championship points. Kalisto. Some of these guys, though, this track has really brought in a lot of names that you don't quite see as often. Shepard, certainly not a name we see. Hawk, not a name we usually see on the road course side. They're doing a great job today.
Let's stay on this battle, but speaking of the championships, we've got a little bit of time where nobody else is terribly close to each other, so why don't you take us through one of the club championships, Bill?
Okay, and why don't you give your fellow announcer a little more warning next time? Hold on one second while I grab my notes.
So while Bill is grabbing his notes, we continue to watch Hawks now almost 7/10 over Barnes. Barnes not able to close quite yet.
Okay, let's talk about the California Championship. The biggest kahuna there is Smith and Kalisto, with Jason Pitts just behind Little Train in third. And again, Smith and Kalisto have 3 wins between them.
So that is our California order. So Bill, hold those by your side. We might go back to them a little bit later. But we are still on this battle for 5th. Hawks has been holding them off. It's gotten down to 5/10 once again, closing in, under braking for the De La Rocha chicane. Now down to 3/10 as Barnes was much cleaner through that chicane. Looks like he didn't get as good of an exit though, as he was losing time. But boy, did he really just chuck that car through there.
Good battle from these guys back here, running in battling for 4th position.
I've been keeping my eye on the rest of the timing. This really is the closest battle that we've got right now. And I'll try and keep an eye on David Williams to see if his speed goes down so we know that he has gone into the pits. Great run through the Ascari chicane for Brian Barnes. He's now within 0.2 of Adam Hawks. Unfortunately, there is not a huge amount of braking down here into the Parabolica. Barnes still looks for him, tries to shake him. And unfortunately, I think that might hurt his exit, and he is going to want it here. Barnes, though, is heading into the pits, actually.
You know, that's probably a smart move. I think Barnes was being held up. Certainly had the pace to stay with Hawks. I don't think he was hanging with them just because of the toe. So maybe he can come in, lucky, run a few hot laps, and maybe jump Hawks the easy way in the pits.
Meanwhile, let's jump to Jason Fleischle, who is still trying to make his way through the field. He was closing on Jabinski, and he backed out of it. I'm not sure why he lost so much time. He was ready to just stream on by him.
Now, I don't believe Fleischle has been in for his pit stop yet, so...
And Williams is in. Williams is in. Where is Kalisto? Heading out of the Ascari chicane, down to the Parabolica. There we see Kalisto on screen, and that beautiful Jordan throwback livery.
Williams in his box right now.
Still waiting. He's going to have to get up to speed.
Now he's rolling.
I don't think he's going to get it. I think Kalisto is going to be well clear. In fact, he is. He is up to speed, and Williams is just now exiting the pits. It is going to be a large gap between them.
About 3.3 seconds, and honestly, Joe, that's about the distance it was after Williams had that incident with Otis and Kalisto was able to pull away. So pretty much held station there.
I'm seeing actually about 4 seconds, so he might have lost about a second to him.
You're right, because I was going back to Jason Pitts, so Williams is actually, I guess, going to file out into 3rd position, I guess.
Pitts is our last guy up at the very top who has not pitted, and he's already giving up the spot to Williams, knowing he's off strategy. fact, actually, he's got a few guys behind him who haven't pitted. They're a long ways back. That includes Sam Boren, Alfred Shepard, Wayne Hutchison, and Kyle Murphy, still yet to pit. 27 laps in. Let's see. Actually, at that rate, these guys could be one stopping it.
Yeah, and we talked about some of the early. I mentioned Fleischle hadn't been in yet, but I was incorrect. I went back to check. He came in at lap 2. I think he was involved in that kerfuffle on lap 1 there. So I think he made it come in and got a clean car.
We look at David Winslow going off track, actually, on the exit of the Parabolica. But let's jump back to Hawks, because that battle with Barnes is back on once again. Barnes looking to the outside down into the De La Roja, has to back out of it. That was probably his best opportunity we've seen. Can he get another one? Usually not a passing zone into the first Lesmo, and he can't get it done. Big slide from Hawks, though, heading into that corner.
My timing and scoring isn't showing that Hawks came in for a pit stop, but I just got to assume that he did because we know that Barnes did.
I'm seeing that Hawks is not, but Barnes has.
Yeah, but they were nose to tail, unless we're separated by a lap here. But I don't.
This is true. This is true. Ooh, a great run. This could be another opportunity for Barnes coming out of Ascari. Hawks is staying defensive. He drifts back to the line. Here comes Barnes. He looks to the inside, down to the Parabolica, tries to outbrake him. Hawks gives him room. Maybe tries to go for the over-under and doesn't have it. And just behind them, trying to come back from his lap 1 incident, is Jason Fleischle, now up into 9th position. Here comes Hawks, back on Barnes. Had the draft, down into turn 1. Hawks has the inside, and he's able to get it. Here comes Fleischle, trying to find his way past Barnes. Nothing doing.
Now let's assume that Fleischle only needs one more stop, and boy, he is fast. He's going to make a move on Barnes right now, I think.
He has the inside down into the De La Roja. Can't quite outbrake him, though. He backs out of it. Oh, and Hawks makes a mistake. Hawks is off the track. He cuts the chicane. He's going to have to give up time. Does Barnes,
I would think.
Barnes doesn't try and get by him, though.
Usually iRacing assesses a slowdown penalty. They'll wave the black flag to the driver who takes that much of the course off. Maybe he didn't get one there.
I think Barnes slowed down, not trying to keep out of Hawks in case he spun across the track. Well, here comes Fleischle, though. We're riding on board with him as he gets by before the Ascari chicane.
And pardon the pun, but Fleischle is flying. He is really moving.
A fire is lit under that Red Bull machine. He's up into 8th. He's already looking at 7th with Hawks just ahead of him, about a second up the road. Meanwhile, up at the front, the gap between Callisto and Williams has gone up to about 5.5 seconds. Callisto is the one with the legs at the moment.
Currently showing Sam Boren in 3rd position. Want to double check, make sure he's made his pit stop. Yep, he has.
We're still on this 3-way battle for 6th, 7th, and 8th. Hawks is trying to hold off Jason Fleischle, the charging driver, coming back through. He looks to the outside as Hawks goes back to the line down into the De La Roja. This time he makes it a little better, but not much. He goes off into the kitty litter, and Fleischle is going to claim it with ease. In fact, Brian Barnes even gets by as Hawks is demoted 2 positions in 1 corner.
Yeah, I think that one was a long time coming. I think Brian Barnes is saying, about time.
We've seen a nearly unflappable Hawks for most of this race, had run a great run up to the top, and finally he makes 2 mistakes, so we're starting to see this driver from the Northwest Division start to sweat just a little bit.
Looking for a battle. The front 5 have really fanned out. That's really your best battle right now that I can find on the track for position.
Now, Jason Pitts, he started 6th. I'm wondering if my timing and scoring is wrong, saying that he hasn't pitted. I'm seeing under the pits that he has a 0. That must be incorrect, like we were seeing with the other driver. because he is now 30 laps into this race. I didn't think we'd be seeing cars go this far. And he started in 6th, too. We're getting some information that Williams' car has not been handling like it was in the practice session. Not sure if that's due to the contact or due to the changing nature of the track. We haven't talked about that a whole lot, Bill. They are on the dynamic track, as actually Jason Pitts sees a mistake from Carl Burke, who's a lap down ahead of him, and is able to slip by without much incident. Meanwhile, we are on Williams.
And I would think we have a fair amount of cars, so they're running for a fair amount of time, and they'll probably rubber up this track. I'm not sure how rubbered in this track was when they started. That kind of matters on when the marbles start to form.
Track conditions, looks like it started at about 10% is what we're seeing.
Yeah, that's pretty green.
So we were not going to see marbles out here. However, the track's grip should change. Meanwhile, Ryan Otis putting all sorts of pressure on Alfred Shepard for 9th position. Otis is back up into the top 10. He's got a great run out of Ascari. He looks down to the inside into the Parabolica, and I think this is going to be a slam dunk move.
There it is. 9th position for a man who was upside down about a half an hour ago.
Sadly, though, 9th position, a lap down from the leaders. We only have 8 cars on the lead lap. This is almost like F1 races of old, Bill.
Yeah, and I gotta give a tip of the hat to Lionel Callisto. We just saw him at where was the oval race we did? Was
Darlington?
Darlington, right? Where he was incredibly fast in the stock cars, in the NASCAR cars, and here he is again in a totally different car, being just as dominant. This guy can drive.
You mentioned AJ Foyt. I would say these guys are being Mario Andretti, just jumping from machine to machine and being great wherever they go, these top drivers. Lionel Callisto certainly has our attention, especially if he can bring it home to that checkered flag. We're already halfway through the race, so less than half of what he's done yet to go.
And we talked about it. I just did the point standings. Callisto and Williams, I believe. I don't want to get this wrong, but I think Williams is also a California driver. Maybe I should pull that up before I mention that. But
he is from the West Club.
He's from the West.
Club,
okay.
That could mean any number of states.
But not California. The West, the westernmost of all of them.
And in fact, Williams is now putting a lap on the car of Alfred Shepard. In the meantime, I need to bring my screen back up, unfortunately, because I lost it for a moment, so I can't see what our viewers are seeing.
Yeah, we're looking right now at Murphy and Bird.
This is for 12th and 13th position. Obviously, Murphy, the car behind that orange camel machine, Bird, and the yellow and maroon ahead of him, trying to chase him down. About 2-second gap between them at the moment.
Yeah, and here's a little text that I had ready for the West Club here, and that's read by Rob Gall, who sits in first. But I made a note here. I wanted to mention that David Williams could probably close the gap thanks to his ability in the Williams. No pun intended there. And Jason Fleischle sits in the 3rd position there for the West.
Yeah, we were talking about that before the broadcast as we switched to Jason Fleischle all the way up into 6th already. That we kept seeing things about Williams being on pole, and Bill and I were going, well, of course there's a Williams on pole. They're all Williams. Meanwhile, Fleischle, who is he working his way past here? Steve Paulson. This is a lap car, so this is not for position. Fleischle has about 10 seconds up the road to get to Bennett to crack into the top 5. If he can get into the top 5, that is one hell of a drive.
Now and we're hearing that Otis is dropping time on Hawks. It was 12 seconds. Now it's down to 8.
He is reeling him in at a rate of knots. Otis also trying to come back after problems earlier on in the race, much like Fleischle.
Now keep in mind, Fleischle hit it on lap 2, so let's assume he can go the distance on one more. That's kind of like a splash and go would be. I'm not sure he can though.
So in a 53-lap race, I believe we are under 20 laps to go now. Let's go through our top 10 real quick. Give you an idea of where everybody sits. Lionel Kalisto still leading by about 6 seconds. David Williams, the car behind him, trying to chase him down. Sam Bourne sitting in third, a whole 37 seconds, 38 seconds behind Williams. Just incredible pace by our leaders at the moment, even with some mistakes that they made. Jason Pitts currently sitting in fourth. A great run from the driver who started in sixth place. And then fifth, Bill, is going to be Brian Bennett.
Now, sixth, as we talked about Fleischle with that lap 2 pit stop. Then Brian Barnes in that fluorescent blue machine running in seventh position. Adam Hawks in eighth. Now, Hawks is 1 minute and 24 seconds behind our leader, about to go a lap down. Just about to pass him is Ryan Otis in ninth. And then I want to say Alan Shepard, the first man in space, but it's Alfred Shepard running in 10th position.
Let's hope he's not the first man in space like we saw at the at a race before at Montreal. GT race car just went skyward when he got hit. So Alfred Shepard still doing a nice job up soaring in the heights of the top 10 here in a 25 car field. And in fact, Shepard started in 14th, so he has moved his way up a few positions since the grid.
Now, what's interesting is Kalisto is actually coming up on Adam Hawks right now to put him a lap down. Oh, Otis just got tagged. Otis has spun it. He just got into the back of Adam Young. Adam Young now has spun it just a few corners ahead of that.
And that was a lapped car. That was not for position. That's got to be extra frustrating for Otis. We're going to look at the replay, see what happened here. This is down into Ascari. Young trying to move over out of the way. What happened here? Oh, just started to lose control. And Otis, not expecting his car to slow like that, almost gets back in front of traffic as he backs the car up.
And then you'll see Young. That's Young who looped it just out of probably just panic.
Car doesn't look too good, actually. And Otis is actually in the pits now, getting that damage repaired as he enters in.
Well, I imagine they're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way since he was already on his lid once, so he may be there a while.
Just a sad day for Ryan Otis, usually one of the top competitors in this series. So that means that he won't be able to make as much of a comeback as he was hoping. However, Jason Fleischle, who I believe was about 8 seconds back from Bennett, was that right? Is now down to 4. I think it's going to be a matter of time here, Bennett and that Benetton machine, appropriately enough.
He did that on purpose.
In the meantime, Williams has cut the gap of 9 seconds that he had earlier down to 4.1 on Kalisto. Now down to 4 exactly. And Kalisto's actually coming in.
Yeah, I'm going to rewind my video and see if that was done by Williams being faster, if Kalisto made a mistake. I just don't see a mistake here. Keep in mind, Williams' tires would be a lot fresher than Kalisto because Kalisto came in earlier. I don't know if it makes that much of a difference.
Could allow him to close. I think it was probably more traffic helping him out there. Now, I'm willing to bet Kalisto's actually going to come out in second here because Sam Boren still isn't even to the Parabolica, and Kalisto is already out of the pits. So yeah, he is going to hold on to second position after his pit stop. Just incredible pace from these guys.
Now, I never like to tell a Marine what to do, but I don't see the logic in David Williams staying out running on old tires forever. I don't know. I would bring it in pretty soon.
That grittiness telling him he can stay out longer than anybody else probably not the way to go, since this is a thinker's game, a chess match in these F1 cars, as it's often compared in racing. You have to be 10 steps ahead of your competitors. Right now, David Williams coming around to the pit entry. Is he going to try and do the same strategy? And he's not. He is staying out.
Okay, he pitted on lap 27. You double that, that gets you to lap 54. Let's see how that works.
He could try and save fuel. He's got a 30-second gap to Callisto. So we'll have to watch that gap time. We're on lap 38 now.
38 with 16 to go. Well, maybe.
Could be done. It'll certainly be fascinating to watch, with two alternate strategies, seeing which one of them can get to the checkered flag first. Looking down the order, trying to see if we've got a battle that's close. I'm not seeing one at the moment.
Well, it's a 53 lap race. He made it to lap 27. That's 54 if you double it. One stop.
And we're getting info from one of his teammates that Williams plans to stay out.
Oh, this will be interesting. The lead is, it's 30 seconds.
Callisto has got to turn on the afterburners. I hope he has a crew chief in his ear so that he's not expecting Williams to come in again to tell him to get up on that wheel, get the laps in, and try to run down that TNT machine. Lap 39 now. 15 laps that he has to do it. That's going to have to be 2 seconds a lap faster. Oh my goodness. And he hasn't really made huge inroads. He's still 29 seconds back. We're hearing that he's lost about 2 seconds in about a lap ago, so he's actually going backwards. Now, I thought Jason Fleischle was closing in on drivers ahead. He's currently sitting in 7th. I wonder if he took a second stop himself, if he's dropped back, because right now he's still got 10 seconds up to Adam Hawks. You know, Bill, it's starting to look like a one-stopper was the way to go. Way less than we anticipated.
Yeah. Well, we were told that it was going to be that the fuel was going to be much more. The cars were going to be much more thirsty than they are.
Or that it would be faster to do those strategies.
Well, I think, let's not give up on Callisto yet. I've seen him do some amazing things, but he's got to start doing it. He can't wait too long to start doing it. He's got to start knocking off this time right now.
Yeah, I'm seeing it at 31 seconds at the moment, although with the huge gap on the track, that's going to fluctuate a little weirdly on our timing and scoring. So we're going to have to actually wait until they get consistently around to the same section, which should be about now. Last time I was looking, it was about 29, 30 seconds. And it's holding station at about 31. So he's lost another 2 seconds. Williams is not only staying out longer, he is driving faster than Callisto.
Yeah, Williams and Callisto are pretty far apart right now, but if you're looking for a part for your Mustang, you may want to think about Dallas Mustang. They're the host of the Texas Club Award. Now the Oval Gluttons of Hayspec and Pence are leading the way in this battle. They're 1 and 2, and the leader in the Sportsman Club is Mike Franklin. He's also from Texas, sitting in 3rd. So if you want to get a part for your Mustang, go to DallasMustang.com.
Williams continues to lead. He started this race on the pole, and he is back up at the top. Meanwhile, Callisto, we haven't mentioned, he started in 5th, and he's currently holding down a very solid 2nd place. He's still got about 16 seconds over Sam Bourne, who's last on the podium at the moment. So Callisto's done a great job to both strategize and stay out of trouble, and Williams has a huge moment. That was coming out of the first chicane. Hawks gets his lap back. He's the only one that's going to get it.
But that's gonna close the distance a little bit. Gonna give Lionel a little more hope.
Might be too little too late. Just a little bit of information after that last contact that Ryan Otis had with a lapped car. He has retired, sadly, after looking so promising.
Yeah, the gap back to Kalisto, between Kalisto and Williams, is still 29 seconds, even after Williams' little pirouette.
He's trying to put another lap on Hawks. Hawks resisting at the moment. He pulls over off the racing line, then slowly drifts back. Is he going to let him through here? No, he does not. Oh, and Hawks spins! Hawks spins. Did he make contact with the wall?
Looks like he may have backed it in. Oh, lock him up, Adam.
He was expressing some displeasure. He was being talked to by Williams, who was unhappy with him drifting across the track there, and he said he lost his focus. Yeah, he definitely touched that outside wall very hard. And now, that has allowed Jason Fleischle to get right up on top of him. No telling how much damage Hawks has. I think this is going to be 6th position for Fleischle in just a moment. Oh, and another spin from Hawks. That could be the damage causing that. As he bounces it over the curbs. Got to be careful not to high center the car. Here comes Alfred Shepard. Also going to demote. Oh, after that first half of that race was such a beautiful run by Hawks. So disappointing to see him start to slip down the order. That car looks all sorts of out of shape. I think it's very damaged.
Yeah, the rear wing is not doing what it's supposed to do.
Meanwhile, Fleischle's not done yet. He's still trying to crack into that top 5. He's only got 2 seconds up the road to the Benetton driver of Brian Bennett. He could be reeling him in here. That's as we stay on this, David Williams' gap over Lionel Kalisto still is at 30 seconds. So Kalisto not making ground.
Well, in practice time, Williams' fastest lap was 1:25 flat, and Kalisto was 1:25.7. So this by the nature of the beast, Williams is going to be faster.
Now, I don't know. So we're hearing last lap, Kalisto was actually 2 seconds faster. But the times aren't really showing that.
Yeah,
oh,
Williams
excuse us. Williams was 2 seconds faster. So, pardon me. Got my information turned around.
That's pretty impressive. Unless Lionel's saying you can't make it from here, but you can, I think, Lionel. And maybe Kalisto's is saying, I'm not even going to pay attention to him.
Well, even if he does, all he has to do is do a splash and dash. And I think he could probably still come out ahead of him.
You're absolutely right.
We're looking at Sam Boren. We haven't talked a lot about Sam, but he is sitting in 3rd position in that bright orange machine. Just all by his lonesome. Worked his way slowly up. Started actually in 12th on the grid, Sam Boren did. And yet he is going to get himself a podium. At this rate, we're on lap 44, so 10 laps to go.
Yeah, and Sam, that's been a very, very quiet, very peaceful 3rd place. I'm sure when we interview him, he'll say it wasn't as peaceful as we're saying, but very nice job from him. Then in 4th position, maybe we can go back and take a look at Brian Barnes. We've seen him in a lot. Finally put all of that franticness behind him in that fluorescent blue machine there running in 4th. And then a guy we haven't talked much about is Brian Bennett in 5th.
In fact, Fleischle was all within 0.3 of a second as they head around the Lesmos, but he wasn't quite close enough to hold on as the dirty air causes him to trip up, and now it's up to 0.7. Still, he is within distance to try and threaten the Benetton machine. See what he can do out of Ascari. They've got some lap traffic just ahead of him. That's Steve Paulison. Bennett goes to the inside. So does Fleischle. We ride on board with Bennett, looking back over the right rear tire. Just look at that distance between the cars.
Boy, that's a great shot there off the back. Nice job by Dougie Beard putting that camera in a great position. Look at it close up now as they go under braking.
Let's see if the gap comes down ever so slightly. Down to 0.6. Fleischle trying so hard to get himself up into 4th. He has cracked. Am I seeing correctly that he's cracked the top 5? No, actually, I'm sorry. He's trying to get himself into the top 5. Timing and scoring was lying to me again. Oh, and Fleischle makes a mistake. Fleischle out of the Della Rosia just catches the car before it spins. And now that puts him out of touch. He can still try and regain that ground. He is not under threat from 7th as Shepard is still about 14 seconds back, 13 seconds back.
Yeah, now Shepard, as we talked about, running 13 seconds back from 6th place of Fleischle. And behind him, Ryan Bird has done a pretty good job of hanging in there with that damaged rear. He's only opened up, it's still under half a second, so Bird's still fighting back. In fact, really closing in on Shepard here. That's a nice battle.
Yeah, I think it's our closest battle at the moment as they come out of Ascari. Bird behind him. We're still looking at Fleischle, though, sitting in 6th. But this battle for 8th and 7th is what we want to see. Just behind him. And Shepard goes very wide. Ryan Bird is onto the inside, and he's got it done.
What I think happened there, I think it took Bird a little while to figure out how his car actually worked in the condition that it was in.
I have to imagine these cars are very sensitive to the weather. And they've got some lap traffic ahead of them, so this isn't over yet. That's Ethan Moore just ahead. Could cause some trouble for these two, and Shepard could get that 7th place back.
That's also very sensitive when you loop your car around and back it into the wall, so Bird's done a nice job. Now, Shepard's running in 8th position. It's not that far back, though, to Wayne Hutchinson running in 9th. Only about 6 seconds back, and I really thought that Bird was going to be in jeopardy with that damaged car, that Hutchinson was going to get him, but probably not. Hutchinson quite a ways back. And then rounding out the top 10, Kyle Murphy.
And, I'm sorry, Ryan Bird just made a mistake coming out of the 2nd Lesmo. What happened there? He actually did make contact with the wall, hard contact.
Yeah,
Let's see if we can get a replay. Yeah, he's stopping it now. And that was just, I think, losing the grip on that outside curb. We're going to see it here coming into the 1st Lesmo as he was trying to stay ahead. Yeah, just a little bit too much. Shades of Lewis Hamilton, circa, I believe it was 2009. Last lap, just put it into the inside coming through the Lesmos. And Bird is into the pits getting that car repaired. He might actually be retired now.
And David Williams has just put a lap on Brian Barnes. There's only 3 cars on the lead lap now, Callisto and Boren.
Just unbelievable. And the gap between the leaders is up to 47 seconds.
Nothing like washing away a caution flag blunder than coming and winning a race like this. My goodness.
Oh, he's going to rinse the taste out of his mouth with some nice cold champagne if he can hold on to this position. He's on lap 47. We're going to tick off to lap 48 here as he comes across the line. Jason Fleischle, who we saw earlier trying to run down Bennett before he made a mistake out of the Della Rosa has cut it down to about 1.5 seconds. He's been closing, but it hasn't been quite fast enough.
Yeah, the distance back to Callisto now is almost a minute. I wonder if Callisto maybe had some trouble there we didn't see.
Or if Callisto's backing it down, knowing he can't do much at this point. Just solidifying his second place, not trying to risk the car.
He's got 6 laps to go. He's got 6 seconds on Sam Bourne in third place. And just to the friends and family of Ryan Otis, yes, I am very well familiar. I remember that David Williams was at least partly responsible for putting Ryan on his lid. But that was a long time ago.
I'm sure it's not that long ago for Ryan Otis.
Yes, that's right.
It's never long enough ago for a driver, is it? Californian of Lionel Callisto on screen, rifling off laps, working his way through Della Rosa, nice and tidy, not trying to hustle the car. A little bit farther back, we do have a battle between Smitty and Carl Burke. This is for 14th and 15th, and Carl Burke's got it done, actually. As soon as we jump to it, it is over.
And Carl Burke sits third in the Northwest Club standings, behind Brian Barnes, who's currently running in 4th position right now, and Wayne Hutchinson, who's out there running in 8th. So a great, pretty good turnout from usually those old-timers, those those grunge fans up there in the coffee drinkers.
Don't call grunge fans old just yet, please. We're also getting information that Callisto might have damage on his car. I can't see any from my perspective. I'm not sure if you spotted any, Bill.
No, I don't, but what I have spotted is Sam Bournes has knocked off 2 more seconds off of his lead on second place. So that's something we may want to keep an eye on. Remember, I said that all of a sudden the distance between Williams and Callisto was 30 seconds, then it was 50 seconds. I'll see if I can maybe find out. Maybe something happened to Lionel that I can't see.
And it doesn't take a lot for these cars to get damaged. So it could be that that's the case of what's slowing him down. It's not him trying to hold back and bring it home. He's trying to hustle whatever he has left of the car to get there. So, right now, our order in the top. David Williams leading by a healthy margin. Lionel Callisto sitting in second. Sam Bourne chasing him down in third. Brian Barnes worked his way all the way up into 4th position, and rounding out the top 5 is Brian Bennett, who still has a 2-second gap over Jason Fleischle, who has not been able to make inroads on him.
Then, of course, Alfred Shepard there running in 7th position. And we talked about Hutchinson from the Northwest running 8th, Kyle Murphy in 9th, and then, hey, here's your Rob Gall from the West running in 10th position. I think that's the first time he's cracked the top 10 for quite a while. He picked that up when we just lost Bird out of the top 10.
Which was sad to see after such a great run from Bird. We now have 3 laps to go with David Williams crossing the line.
Well, Joe, I was partly right and partly wrong. I thought attrition would play a factor, but I didn't really take into account the runoffs and how forgiving this track is. Certainly there were a lot of spins that we're not used to seeing, but not so often that it was costly to the car. Bird had trouble. Other big names that are out. Antoma. Brett Otis. Yeah.
Adam Young also out. Ethan Moore.
Adam Young is actually at the side of the track right now. We just mentioned him. He just looped it around and was parked on the grass.
That was out of the second Lesmo.
Just a little gentle spin.
fact, I might have said Ethan Moore's out. Ethan Moore is not out. He's still in 21st, but a long ways down, about 3 laps down. David Williams now comes to the Parabolica, trying to put a lap on Alan Haysbeck, and he does so nice and clean. This time by, it's going to be 2 to go. After this one, he's got a white flag, and then he's going to see a checkered flag. If he can just keep it pointed forward, he's got a huge margin at this point. No need to push. Almost, as you said, Bill, over a minute over Kalisto, who is under threat. Now 7/10 between Boren and Kalisto.
Yeah, something is growing long because Boren's is gobbling him up.
Boren from 12th place looking to get into second. And there it is right there. Just overtakes him on the straight. I think Kalisto gave it up. Oh, I would have loved to have seen him fight for that with only 2 more laps.
I ran back my replay as far as I could. I couldn't see anything wrong.
Maybe he clouded a curb wrong?
Yeah.
Or?
Could be undercarriage that we can't see.
Still, I mean, he's got a huge gap back to Brian Barnes. In fact, an entire lap is between them, with David Williams having put the 4th place of Brian Barnes a lap down. So, I mean, he should be safe in this 3rd position.
You don't think I could talk David Williams to bringing it into the pit and maybe let me do a driver swap with him, do you? And bring this thing home?
I don't think they're going to let you on top of the podium still.
65-second lead as he crosses the start-finish line, starting that final lap. My goodness.
He could take 2 pit stops and still come out in the lead. White flag is out. 1 to go for David Williams around this Monza circuit, and he is going to take the win. I believe this is going to be his first of the season in the Pac Majors. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Fleischle has been trying to catch Bennett. He's now finally reeled him into within half a second as he gets by Hawks. But he's not close enough to try and pass down into the first chicane, but he closes in as lap traffic holds up Bennett. That's Jason Pitts just ahead of them. We could see a change for the top 5 yet still. Fleischle working around the Curva Grande. Now we switch back to Williams.
And a quick shout out.
Fleischle's making the move, actually. Fleischle making the move on Bennett through the chicane. He must have come from a far way back, and he gets it done. Fleischle into 5th.
Quick shout out to that West Club with 3 cars in the top 10. They have the talent up top, just don't have the depth.
Absolutely. But one driver that had talent and a lot of depth is David Williams, as he comes to the line, takes the checkered flag, and wins here at Monza for the Italian Grand Prix. And to give you an idea of the distance, Sam Boren is coming up to the Della Rosa chicane right now. That is how far of a gap he has put on 2nd place.
Sam, we're going to give you some screen time here as you're going to bring this thing home. A I don't think you could have a more quiet 2nd place finish.
Credit to Fleischle, who did crack the top 5 and finish there after being sent way down the order on lap 1. I would love to get to talk to Fleischle and see how what was going through his head after that start and the car not going anywhere.
Started in the 2nd position. Just didn't go.
Here comes Sam Boren. He is coming up to the Parabolica. It's been a long run. He started in 12th position. He kept it pointed forward. He didn't make major mistakes. And in the end, Sam Boren is going to take home 2nd position. He is going to be on the podium. Lionel Kalisto trails him home by not that much of a gap, only 1.7 seconds. But still, it's going to be 3rd place for Lionel Kalisto after leading the race and then slipping back as it went on. That is everybody around and finished today. We are going to take a quick break. Then we're going to come back with driver interviews as well as the unofficial results as we see Lionel having some fun with his styrofoam boards there. We also will have the upcoming races on the screen, so stick around during the break. Welcome back to Monza, where we just watched the Interwest 3M Italian Grand Prix in the Pacific Majors. So, as they've now finished the 53 laps around here, it was David Williams who not only got to the checkered flag fastest, but by an incredible margin of 1:11 over Sam Boren. Lionel Callisto was the only other car on the lead lap, finishing in third place. Brian Barnes came home in fourth, followed by Jason Fleishley in fifth. Brian Bennett came home in sixth, followed by Alan Shepard in seventh, and Wayne Hutchison in eighth. Then it was Kyle Murphy in ninth, with Rob Gall rounding out the top 10, Bill.
And a great job in that top 10 with three drivers from the West in there. In 11th position in Texas is Alan Hasebeck. Jason Pitts, a California driver, in 12th. Carl Burke, Adam Hawks, Stephen Paulison, all from the Northwest, go 13th, 14th, 15th. Michael Smith, the Southern Cal driver, goes 16th. Ryan Bird, another driver from the West, 17th position. Chris Pence from the great state of Texas in 18th. Chris Beck from up north in 19th position, and rounding out in 20th, another Lone Star, Ethan Moore.
And 21st, it was Mark Jubinski, followed by Adam Young in 22nd, Brett Trocine in 23rd, Ryan Otis, after unfortunately going on his lid and then getting another wreck later on, finishing 24th, and Ryan Toma, who kicked off that first lap incident, finished in 25th, 51 laps down. We have some driver interviews to do. First up, we're going to talk to our winner today, and that is David Williams. First off, David, do I understand correctly that today is your birthday?
That is correct. Today is my birthday.
Wow, what a way to celebrate.
Yes. Yeah. I think I put too much pressure on myself all week leading up to this.
Now, we were talking... Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say, we were talking a little bit about the mistake that you made at Darlington under the caution lap. Does this wash out the taste of that a bit? Is the champagne enough to finally make you forget that mistake?
Yeah, I'm not good at ovals anyway, so I just chalked that up as a rookie mistake. But yeah, it definitely feels good to get a win for the Club West finally, and I don't think we've had a win yet. And more importantly, for the TNT team to show that we are good at these open tops. This is what we do.
You guys certainly looked dominant out there. Now, we were not quite sure what to expect from strategy in the booth. We thought most people were going to try two-stopper, and we didn't expect the one-stopper. Did you guys do a lot of research to figure out that was the quickest way around, or how did you guys know that was going to be just this dominant?
I guess one benefit of being on a team that has a few DWC drivers is I can ask them, hey guys, what did y'all do when you went to Monza? What did you see as a trend? And my teammates Tomo and Ben and everybody gave me some good advice, and they suggested that I try the 75-75 strategy because the people that were running two stops typically lost some time.
It certainly proved to be the case today. Again, congratulations on the win. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go celebrate both your birthday and a win out there?
Before I thank somebody, I would like to apologize to Adam. I kind of blurted out there on the radio out of frustration. I think I startled him and caused him to spin and probably lost quite a few spots. So Adam Hawks, I apologize for that. And Ryan, for that slight contact we had that for whatever reason flipped you over on your lid and turn one. Man, definitely not how I like to conduct myself on the track, and I apologize, gentlemen. As far as thanks, I'd like to give thanks out to our sponsors, as always, GTR Simulator and Allenberg Racing Schools. If you come by the TNT-racing.com website, you'll find exclusive deals that will give you 30% off GTR products and up to $350 off Allenberg Racing School packages. And yep, that's it, guys. Thanks again. I can't wait to go back and look at the broadcast. Hopefully you guys didn't catch too many of my mistakes.
We did get a few of those contacts in, unfortunately, but said like a true professional. That was David Williams, our winner out there today at the Italian Grand Prix. Up next, Bill is ready to talk to Sam Boren, who's waiting in line for interviews.
There we go. Sam, you got a copy?
Yes, sir, I do.
Well, I don't know how to put this, but that has to be one of the more uneventful second-place finishes I've ever seen. There must have been something going on that we missed. Tell us about your race, but it looked pretty peaceful from my point of view.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I was actually thinking that I was going to have to take a third place, but apparently Lionel took some damage on lap 43, and I started seeing that I was gaining time on him in the straights. And once I saw that, I knew that I was about 10, 11 laps out. So I figured I'd just go ahead and try to push a little bit harder to try to catch him. And luckily things worked out, and I got him about lap 51, I believe.
Yeah, you really closed the distance fast. In fact, I'd already penciled him in for second place, and all of a sudden I see you knocking off 2 or 3 seconds a lap, and you got him pretty quick. Hey, tell us about the track and this dynamic track. Did it change much today? It looked like the guys got a pretty good handle on it for most of the race. How was it for you?
For me, honestly, I didn't actually notice a whole lot of change. The setup I had was pretty stable throughout the entire stint. So, I don't believe that I noticed anything that I would say that it changed a lot for me. It felt pretty good throughout.
Well, your Texas club is in the hunt. If they can try to run down that Northwestern club, certainly your second place finish is going to help. What part of Texas are you from?
I'm from Victoria.
Where's that?
It's about 135 miles south of Houston.
Oh, south of Houston. So that's Galveston country almost, huh?
Oh, no. Galveston is actually east of Houston, I believe. If you were to basically pick a point right between Corpus Christi and Houston, I'm right there in the middle.
That's, Corpus Christi is what I meant to say. I got my Texas state's wrong. I'm sure everyone is fascinated by this geographic talk that we're having. Congratulations on your second place finish. And you going to be able to do the last 2 races?
I'm sure hoping for it. I'm looking forward to the next one, as a matter of fact.
Great job. Thanks a lot. Sam Bourne, our second place finisher today. Joe?
Thank you, sir.
Well, we have one more that might be willing to talk. I'm trying to figure out where exactly Bennett finished. It looks like about 7th place. 6th place, actually. Yes, 6th. Excuse me. Brian Bennett finished 6th, and he seemed to have a pretty good race day. So unfortunately, missed out on the top 5. But let's talk to him since we got a little bit of time. Brian, you didn't quite get into the top 5, but 6 is nothing to be ashamed of, especially with how difficult this car is. What were your thoughts out there now, having driven the F1 car in a competitive race?
Well, it was pretty fun. I had to you had to wonder what the other person's braking style may be. It was the biggest concern, I suppose. It was a good time. Everything happens fast in this car.
It certainly seems like that. Is this your first time doing this long of a race in this car, or do you have any experience in it?
No, I had never raced this car at all until this evening. I had done quite a few practice starts, and so I knew my own theory going into the first turn and where to brake, but I didn't fully know if everybody around me was going to be that aggressive or not. So I took it safe through the first turn and executed the first turn fine. Made a few mistakes in the first 4 or 5 laps and then spun myself out, which was dumb, but that's the way it is sometimes.
Well, Jill, let me butt in. Brian, you were just one position ahead of the chaos that went on in turn 1 of lap 1.
Yeah, I did take the time to watch that on the replay, and I wondered, you always wonder about that when you come out in the first turn, you can see a 4-second gap behind you. It's like, did I brake early? Did I cause that or not? And I didn't feel that I had gone excessively safe into the first turn to cause it, but I did. I figured out since that it wasn't my fault. I'm good to go.
Yeah, I think that was definitely on a couple other drivers getting together for sure. Next round is going to be another road race, another very famous road race with the Petit Le Mans. I take it you're looking forward to that as well?
Yeah, the road racing is certainly more my thing. The ovals are unusual. They're fun, kind of. I think we should race the IndyCar more because I can see better in it. It's like a road car, except you're going turn left all the time. Anyway, I look forward to Petit Le Mans. I have done a few races on Road Atlanta here lately, and I'm feeling more comfortable on it. I've never felt really strong on it, but I will work on it because it's more fun to be up closer to the front than hanging out and just getting by.
I can understand where you're coming from, though I definitely never try to discredit the oval drivers and the skill that they take. Thanks for coming and talking to us. That, again, was Brian Bennett, our 6th place finisher today here at Monza. That concludes our interview, so we are going to wrap up for today. Obviously, we want to thank a few people before we go, including our sponsors of Volt Vapes for the Sportsman division, also for the Texas Club sponsor of Dallas Mustangs. I believe it was. Is that the correct name, Bill? You had that
That's
better
it.
than I did. That's it. All right, I
Parts
got
and
it right.
accessories. They got everything you need for your Mustang from 1964 to right now, baby.
Excellent stuff. Also, of course, thanks to the sponsor of the race, Interwest 3M, and the organizer of the league, Mike Willett. We want to thank iRacing.com, XSplit, Twitch TV, Audio Technica, Behringer, and AverMedia, the software and hardware that we use to make these broadcasts possible. Also, thanks to the team today, Giancarlo, Bill, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and upcoming broadcasts. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at /GlobalSimRacingChannel. So give us a shout on social media. We love interacting with our fans. Ask us questions and tell us what you think. A special thank you goes out to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who both provide music for our broadcast. You can buy Eric's music on iTunes and Spotify, and Casey's at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. Our next race, as we mentioned, that is going to be Road Atlanta for the Petite Le Mans. That'll be Sunday, October 4th at 5:45 p.m. Pacific. We also have upcoming races for other series on screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.